Quick overview of FastCap's latest power tool accessory, what we are calling our Quick Mandrel. Before I go any further though, let me quickly go over the three other existing types of mandrels on the market, just so you can see what makes our tool unique and the advantages that we have over the competition. So I know your time is valuable, so let me run through this as quickly as possible. First off, we have the original hole saw mandrel. We're probably all familiar with this, where the user threads the bit onto the mandrel and then slides the rear plate forward to engage the pair of pins and then threads the nut upward to lock the rear plate in place. While this mandrel takes the most time and effort to use, notice that it really holds that hole saw bit firmly. There is just no play whatsoever. Next off, we have a slightly improved version of the first mandrel, where the user, of course, still has to thread the hole saw bit onto the mandrel, but at this point they simply slide the rear plate forward to engage those pair of pins and no longer have to deal with threading the rear nut upward. And while this is faster, notice that there is play there. It just does not hold the hole saw bit as firmly and tightly as the original version. And finally, we have the last version of the hole saw mandrel. And this is a true quick release hole saw mandrel, where the user does no longer have to thread the hole saw bits on and off the mandrel, where now they can simply snap the mandrel in place, and to remove it, they pull the sleeve rearward to disengage. And this quick release ability is allowed or enabled with these hole saw adapters. But unfortunately, these adapters are also the main downside to this version of a mandrel. Number one, just the adapters themselves. The users have to purchase and attach these adapters onto every one of their hole saw bits. And number two, of course, is cost, especially for users with large hole saw bits, that's 15 or so. Purchasing and attaching these adapters to every one of their bits can get quite expensive. And of course, once all these hole saw adapters are attached to their bits, these bits are no longer nestable or stackable, and of course will no longer fit in the blow molded case they came in, where they're just going to be banging around loose in their bag. And finally, once mounted, there is play there, and it's just not held as tightly as the original version of the hole saw mandrel. So that brings us back to our mandrel. What we wanted to do was create a true quick release mandrel that did not require adapters and yet held the hole saw bit as tightly as the original version. Essentially the best of both worlds. So the way we removed the threading requirements was to replace those steel threads with these three catch arms here, here, and of course here. And while these catch arms are on the small side, keep in mind they are made from 17.4 participation hardened stainless steel. Incredibly strong stuff, up to 4 times stronger than standard steel. So while we're removing those mild steel threads, you're not losing any holding power with these three catch arms. So let me run through the operating procedure so you can see how this works. Mount it in a chuck is easiest to show. First, the user mounts the bit on the mandrel, and at this point the sleeve rotates slightly to the left and locks it in place where it will not come off. At this point, it is a simple 1/8 turn to the left to tighten the bit. And to remove, the sleeve is turned in the opposite direction to release the bit. Again, mount the bit, 1/8 turn to the left to release in the opposite direction. And notice once the hole saw bit is locked in place, it is tight. Just as tight as the original hole saw mandrel. So there you have it, FastCap's Quick Mandrel, a true quick release mandrel that does not require adapters to be placed on the user's hole saw bits, yet holds the hole saw bits as firmly as the original mandrel. Okay, thank you.